4 miles beneath the surface of the ocean, a silent war is already underway. No explosions echo here, no headlines report what is happening, only darkness, pressure, and machines moving where no human can survive. This is not a battlefield we can see, but it is one that will decide the future of nations. The ocean floor is no longer untouched. It has become the most valuable territory on Earth, and the race to control it has already begun. There are no soldiers here, only machines. Robotic harvesters crawl across the seabed, stripping it layer by layer. Each movement is calculated, precise, and relentless. They do not stop, they do not hesitate, and they do not understand what they are destroying. This is warfare without weapons, a silent invasion of the deepest parts of our planet. What lies here is not ordinary rock. These small dark nodules contain the future of human civilization. Nickel, cobalt, manganese, elements that power everything from electric cars to global infrastructure. Without them, the world's transition to clean energy slows or even stops. This is not just mining. This is a race for control over the future itself. And every nation knows whoever secures these resources first gains an advantage that cannot be reversed. The world is racing toward a cleaner future. Electric vehicles replace fuel engines. Renewable energy rises across continents, but beneath that progress lies a contradiction. To build a green future, we are turning to one of the darkest places on Earth. And the cost of that decision may be far greater than we realize, because every step forward above the surface creates destruction below it. This is not a small operation. The scale of what is happening is almost impossible to comprehend. Thousands of square kilometers, marked, divided, and claimed. Entire sections of the ocean floor being prepared for extraction. This is not exploration anymore. This is industrial expansion at a planetary level, and it is accelerating faster than anyone expected. This is where the competition begins. Nations are not waiting. They are positioning, testing, and deploying technology at an unprecedented pace. China expands aggressively. The United States increases surveillance. Europe pushes forward with research and regulation. Each move is calculated, each move is strategic, because no one wants to be left behind in this race. There are no official declarations of conflict here, no public announcements. But tension is building beneath the surface. Ships monitor each other, drones operate in overlapping territories, and every nation is watching closely. This is not peace, this is a silent standoff. The resources hidden beneath the ocean are not just valuable, they are essential. Every battery, every advanced system depends on them. This is not just about energy, it is about control. Control over industries, control over economies, and ultimately, control over global power. For millions of years, this world remained untouched, a place of mystery and silence. Life here evolved in isolation, in ways we still barely understand. And now, for the first time, it is being disturbed, not by nature, but by us. And we do not yet know what consequences that will bring. What has started may not be easily stopped. The machines are already here. The infrastructure is already in place, and the demand continues to rise. Every day the pressure increases. Every day the stakes grow higher. This is no longer a possibility. This is reality. Far above the darkness, control is absolute. Every movement below is monitored, calculated, and executed from here. The ocean may appear empty on the surface, but beneath it, a complex network of machines is being directed with precision. This is no longer exploration. This is full-scale operation. And the ones controlling these systems are shaping a battlefield few people even know exists. Once the nodules are collected, the process does not slow down. They are lifted through massive pipelines stretching kilometers upward, from darkness to the surface, in a continuous flow. What took millions of years to form is removed in seconds. There is no pause, no reflection, only extraction at a scale never seen before. Behind every operation, there is another layer of control. Corporations and governments working side by side, contracts signed in silence, agreements hidden behind closed doors. This is not just a national race, it is a corporate one as well, where profit and power merge, and the ocean becomes a commodity. Most of this activity takes place beyond national borders, in waters that belong to no single country, a legal gray zone, where rules are still being written. But while laws struggle to keep up, the operations continue to expand. Because in a race like this, waiting for permission means losing. Nothing here goes unseen. Satellites track every movement across the ocean. Radar systems monitor ships around the clock, even the smallest change is recorded. Because this is not just mining anymore, it is intelligence gathering. And in this silent conflict, information is just as valuable as the resources themselves. The modern world depends on what lies beneath the ocean. Every battery produced, every electric system deployed, connects back to these resources. Without them, progress slows, industries weaken, nations fall behind. This is no longer optional. This is dependency on a hidden supply chain deep below the surface. The distance between competitors is shrinking. Operations are moving closer, overlapping, intersecting. What was once isolated is now crowded, and with that comes tension. Because in a race for control, proximity increases the risk of confrontation. The stakes are no longer just financial, they are becoming existential. And then something begins to change, signals weaken, systems glitch, connections break without warning. At first, it seems like technical failure. But patterns begin to emerge. This is not random, this is interference. And it may be the first sign that this silent war is no longer entirely invisible. The first signs are subtle: a delay in response, a flicker in communication. Then, complete disruption. Machines that once moved with precision begin to fail without explanation. Signals don't just disappear, they are being interrupted. And in a system built on control, losing signal means losing power. Beneath the ocean, interference spreads silently, not visible to the eye, but devastating to machines. Electromagnetic disruptions ripple through the water, systems begin to misread signals, navigation breaks down. Operations lose synchronization. This is not natural, this is engineered disruption. A new form of warfare, without a single visible weapon. And then, the first machine is lost, no explosion, no visible damage, just silence. A system worth millions, reduced to an immobile object on the seabed, disconnected, unrecoverable. In this environment, failure is final, and every loss sends a message. The silence below is now a warning to everyone above. The race has turned into a hunt. At first, it is dismissed as coincidence, a technical issue, an isolated malfunction. But as more systems fail, a pattern begins to emerge. Different locations, different machines, the same result. This is not random. This is coordinated, and the implications are far more dangerous than anyone expected. This is not just failure, this is sabotage, and it's coming from inside the system. Sabotage does not always leave a trace. Sometimes it leaves only confusion, unidentified signals, unexpected interference, movements that cannot be explained, and systems that fail without visible cause. In the darkness, it becomes almost impossible to prove what is happening. But one thing becomes clear: this is no longer just a race. It is a conflict, a war of shadows in the deepest parts of our world. As problems increase below, tension rises above the surface. Ships move closer together, observing, monitoring, waiting. No words are exchanged, no actions are taken openly, but the message is understood. Everyone knows something has changed. The surface is no longer a safe zone. It is a front line of an invisible war. And the storm is just beginning. What happens next will decide the fate of the deep. Every failure comes with a cost. Millions lost in seconds, operations delayed, supply chains disrupted. But the real cost is not financial. It is strategic, because every lost machine means falling behind in a race where delay is defeat. The pressure to recover is immense. The pressure to win is even greater. In this race, there is no second place, only those who control the ocean and those who are left in the dark. The response is immediate. Stronger systems, more secure communication, advanced countermeasures designed to resist interference. This is no longer a simple operation, it is evolving, adapting, preparing for conflict, because once a threat is confirmed, it cannot be ignored. It must be answered with power, with precision, and with a new level of aggression. The light is coming back to the deep, but it's not for exploration, it's for battle. And now, the distance disappears. Machines come face to face in the depths of the ocean. Above them, ships hold position, watching, waiting. No one makes the first move, because the next step could change everything. This is the edge of confrontation. And once it is crossed, there may be no way back. The invisible line is about to break. The silence is about to end, the first strike is coming, and the world is not prepared for what happens next. For the first time, competition becomes confrontation. Two systems, targeting the same resource, neither willing to retreat, neither programmed to stop. This is no longer coordination. This is collision, without impact, a silent clash where control is everything. And even the smallest advantage can decide the outcome. The machines are fighting for the future, one grain of silt at a time. The battle for the deep has begun, and there are no rules to stop it. Pressure builds rapidly, systems begin to overload, unable to handle conflicting signals. Commands overlap, responses delay. The balance between control and chaos begins to break. This is what happens when two forces operate in the same space, without rules, without coordination. The system was never designed for this, and now it is starting to fail. The feedback loop is closing. The machines are no longer in control, and neither are the people who sent them. There are no clear rules here, no defined boundaries, no authority strong enough to enforce control. Each nation operates under its own interpretation of the law. And in that uncertainty, conflict becomes inevitable. Because when territory is undefined, everything becomes contested. We are moving into a world where power is the only law, and the strongest player takes everything. The ocean belongs to everyone, and yet it is being claimed by a few, and the rules are being written in the dark. What begins below the surface does not stay there. Naval presence increases, surveillance intensifies, the atmosphere changes. This is no longer just a mining operation. It is becoming a strategic zone, and every movement now carries deeper meaning. Every signal sent is a message of intent. The line between commerce and conflict is blurring, and once it's gone, it won't come back. The weather is turning, and so is the geopolitical tide. The storm is no longer a metaphor. It is here. As the conflict grows, so does the damage. Entire sections of the ocean floor, transformed beyond recognition. What was once stable is now disturbed. What was once alive begins to disappear, and this damage may not be reversible. We are breaking a system that took millions of years to build. The price of our future is being paid by a world we barely know, and the cost is rising every day. In our race for more, we are losing the very things we set out to protect, and the ocean is the first to fall. The impact does not stay in the ocean. It spreads across the world. Supply chains begin to feel the pressure. Industries adjust. Delays increase. Because what happens in the depths affects everything above. This is not an isolated conflict. It is global, it is systemic, and it is unstoppable. The world is realizing its dependency too late. The chain is broken, and the deep is where the break began. Power is shifting, not just in the ocean, but in every home, every factory, and every nation on Earth. Everything is accelerating. More machines, more activity, more pressure. The system is reaching a point where slowing down is no longer possible. Every decision now pushes things further forward, toward a moment that cannot be undone. We are crossing the threshold. The momentum is absolute. The race is now a rush toward the edge, and no one is looking back. The deep is closing in, and the light we brought is being swallowed by the shadow of our own ambition. There was no official declaration, no single moment that marked the beginning, only a series of actions that slowly turned into conflict. A war without sound, without visibility, but not without consequences, because now it has already begun. And the ocean has become the newest battlefield on Earth, a battlefield that will define the next century of human history. Welcome to the New World. Part 2 begins soon. This is only the beginning of the silent war. The ocean is no longer empty. It is becoming crowded with power. Major nations are stepping forward, each with their own ambitions. China expands its reach with speed and precision. The United States increases its presence, watching every move. Europe pushes forward with technology and regulation. This is not cooperation. This is positioning, a silent alignment before a larger confrontation. This is no longer random exploration. Every movement is strategic. Every deployment is calculated. Ships move with purpose. Drones operate with precision, and behind every action, there is a plan. Because in this environment, mistakes are not tolerated. They are exploited. The pace begins to increase, extraction speeds rise, operations expand, because this is not just about participation, it is about dominance. Whoever moves faster secures more ground, and whoever secures more ground controls the future supply. Control over these resources changes everything. It determines who leads and who follows. Energy systems depend on it. Industries rely on it. Even national security is influenced by it. This is not just a resource, it is leverage. And in a world driven by competition, leverage defines power. The lines between public and private begin to blur. Corporations do not act alone. Governments do not operate independently. They move together, aligned by mutual interest. Profit meets power, strategy meets opportunity, and the ocean becomes a shared objective in a game where both sides benefit. Technology becomes the deciding factor. Faster systems, stronger machines, smarter algorithms. Every improvement creates an advantage, and every advantage widens the gap between competitors. This is not just a race for resources, it is a race for technological superiority, and it is accelerating rapidly. Above the surface, another battle unfolds, a battle of laws, policies, and agreements. Nations argue over rights and regulations, over who can mine and where. But while debates continue, operations below do not stop. Because in this race, action moves faster than legislation. Trust begins to fade. Every action is questioned. Every movement is analyzed. Communication becomes limited. Transparency disappears. Because in a competitive environment, sharing information becomes a risk. And once trust is lost, cooperation becomes impossible. The battlefield begins to grow. New zones are identified. New territories are claimed. The expansion does not slow, it accelerates. Because once the value is confirmed, everyone wants a share, and the more territory controlled, the stronger the position becomes. Presence becomes power. Naval forces move closer, not to attack, but to be seen, to signal strength, to establish dominance, because in this silent conflict, visibility itself becomes a message. And that message is clear. No one is backing down. Not every operation is visible. Some move in silence without identity. Unmarked vessels, operating beyond official records, missions that are never announced and never acknowledged. Because in this new battlefield, secrecy is not an option, it is a necessity. And the most important actions are the ones no one ever sees. Before machines move, data decides everything. Every inch of the seabed is analyzed, scanned, calculated, where to mine, how much to extract, what lies beneath. This is not guesswork. This is precision driven by intelligence. Because in this conflict, information is more powerful than force, and those who know more control more. Some areas hold more value than others. Hidden beneath layers of sediment are zones of extreme density. Whoever finds them first gains a massive advantage. Extraction becomes faster, more efficient, more profitable. And in a race like this, one discovery can change everything. The pressure is no longer isolated to the ocean. It spreads into markets, industries, economies. Demand rises faster than supply. Delays create instability. Prices begin to shift. And with every disruption, the urgency increases. Because this is not just a resource race, it is an economic one. Sometimes, control is not about speed. It is about position, blocking access, delaying progress, forcing competitors to reroute. No direct confrontation, no open conflict. Just strategic placement. That changes everything. This is how influence is applied without a single word. The deeper the world moves into this system, the harder it becomes to step away. Dependency builds slowly, then suddenly becomes unavoidable. Industries rely on continuous supply. Systems depend on constant flow, and once that dependency is established, control shifts to those who provide it. This is not just a race anymore, it is a trap. The battle shifts toward control systems. Signals are no longer trusted, they are protected, encrypted, reinforced. Every connection becomes a potential vulnerability, every system becomes a target. And as defenses improve, so do the methods used to break them. This is no longer just a physical operation, it is a digital battlefield beneath the ocean. This is no longer hidden. The pattern is clear. Multiple powers competing in silence, expanding influence without direct confrontation, building control without open conflict. This is not a traditional war. It is something different, something quieter, but far more complex. A new Cold War, where the battlefield lies beneath the waves. The distance between rivals disappears. Operations move into the same space, within sight, within reach. Every movement is observed. Every action carries weight. There is no communication, but everything is understood. This is no longer competition. This is a standoff, balanced on precision and restraint. Everything is now in position. Forces are aligned. Systems are active. Tension is at its peak. Control is tested, not with force, but with signal strength. Whose system is stronger? Whose communication holds? Whose network remains stable under pressure? This becomes the new measure of power. Because in this environment, whoever controls the signal controls the operation. And whoever controls the operation controls the outcome. Then something more aggressive begins. Systems respond without being commanded. Movements change without instruction. For a moment, control is lost. Not to failure, but to interference from outside. This is no longer disruption. This is an attempt to take control, and it signals a dangerous shift in how far this conflict is willing to go. For the first time, the realization becomes clear. Control is not guaranteed. It can be taken. It can be disrupted. It can be overridden. The systems designed to dominate the ocean floor are vulnerable. And that vulnerability changes everything, because now every operation carries risk beyond failure. The response is immediate and intense. Systems are upgraded. Security is reinforced. Every connection is protected with new layers of defense, because in this environment, weakness cannot exist. Every vulnerability becomes a target, and survival depends on adapting faster than the threat. There is no rest here, no pause, only tension, building silently over time. The pressure is no longer just technical, it becomes psychological, constant monitoring, continuous uncertainty, the awareness that something unseen could disrupt everything at any moment. Everything continues, but under pressure that keeps increasing. There is no resolution, no agreement, only escalation, waiting for a trigger. The conflict does not stay contained, it spreads, new regions are identified. New operations begin. The battlefield expands beyond its original boundaries. Because once the value is proven, the race cannot be limited. It must grow. And with every new zone, the complexity increases. The presence of power becomes more visible, not through action, but through proximity. Naval forces move into position, watching, monitoring, sending a message without words. This is not escalation in the traditional sense, but it is a signal that this conflict is being taken seriously at the highest level. Everything is now in position, forces are aligned, systems are active, tension is at its peak. No direct confrontation has occurred, but the conditions for it are fully established. This is the moment before escalation, the moment where everything is ready and nothing has happened yet. But everyone knows it could. Then it happens at scale. Not one system, not one location. Multiple operations failing at the same time, synchronization collapses, control weakens. And for the first time, this conflict becomes impossible to ignore, because this is no longer isolated. This is coordinated disruption across the entire battlefield. The reaction is immediate, governments respond, command centers activate. Every affected system is analyzed in real time, because what was once hidden is now visible at the highest levels. This is no longer a technical issue, it is a strategic event, and it demands attention. What was once hidden is now visible at the highest levels. This demands attention. Patterns begin to form, connections become clear. This is not random failure. This is controlled disruption, a deliberate attempt to weaken systems without direct confrontation. Because in this new battlefield, power is not shown through destruction. It is shown through control. And control is being challenged. This is control warfare. For a brief moment, everything slows. Operations pause. Movements stop. A silence falls across the battlefield, not because the conflict is over, but because both sides are calculating their next move. This is not retreat. This is preparation. And what comes next will define everything. Silence is now the loudest signal. Both sides are calculating. Preparation defines the next move. Not all systems fail equally. Some recover faster, some adapt quicker. And in that difference, a shift begins. Control starts to concentrate. Certain zones become stronger, while others fall behind. This is how power shifts, quietly but decisively. This is selective dominance. Concentrated control defines the winners. The shift is decisive, quiet, permanent. The ocean becomes a line of tension, forces positioned but not moving, watching but not acting. This is not peace, this is a standoff, a balance of power, where no side is willing to step back. And no side is willing to escalate yet. Every movement is a calculated signal. The balance is held by restraint. The standoff is global. The tension is absolute. The environment itself reflects the tension, unstable, unpredictable, on the edge of breaking. Everything continues, but under pressure that keeps increasing. There is no resolution, no agreement, only escalation, waiting for a trigger. The conditions are established, the peak is reached. Waiting for a single event, escalation is imminent, the world is on the edge. What was once hidden is no longer invisible. The world begins to notice. not through noise, but through impact, through disruption, through change, because beneath the surface, a new kind of conflict has already taken shape. And now it is impossible to ignore. The battle for the depths has begun. This is no longer a race. It is a new world order. The powers have risen from the depths, and the silence is over. At first, it is barely noticeable. A delay, a slight instability, something that seems small, almost insignificant. But in a system built on precision, even the smallest disruption matters, because this is where collapse begins. Not with a single event, but with a crack. That slowly spreads. One failure becomes two become many. The system begins to lose stability, not in one place, but across multiple zones. This is not isolated anymore, it is spreading. A cascade effect, where each failure triggers another, and stopping it becomes harder with every second. The precision is gone. What once moved in perfect coordination now operates in confusion. Machines lose alignment, paths intersect, operations collide. The system that once defined control begins to behave unpredictably. And in an environment this extreme, chaos has consequences. The ocean begins to respond, not with force, but with disruption. Sediment rises, spreading far beyond the mining zones, visibility disappears. Ecosystems are disturbed. What was once stable becomes unpredictable. Because when the system loses control, the environment absorbs the impact. Not all damage is visible immediately. Some of it happens slowly, silently. Life that cannot escape begins to disappear. Habitats that took centuries to form are erased in moments. And the most dangerous part is that much of this destruction goes completely unnoticed, because no one is watching closely enough to see it happening. Above the surface, the strain becomes overwhelming. Systems demand constant attention. Failures multiply faster than they can be resolved. Communication weakens, decisions become rushed, because the complexity of the operation is reaching a point where control is no longer sustainable. And then it becomes clear. This is not something that can be easily fixed. The system is no longer fully controlled. It is reacting rather than responding, operating rather than being directed. This is the moment of realization, the point where control begins to slip away and cannot be fully regained. Without control, systems do not stop. They continue, but without direction. Machines operate beyond their intended limits. Processes continue without coordination. And the result is not efficiency, it is chaos. A slow drift into something far more dangerous. The impact begins to spread beyond the immediate zones, beyond the initial operations. Because once disruption starts, it does not stay contained, it expands. It affects everything around it. And with every passing moment, the scale of damage increases. Stopping the system is not as simple as turning it off. Shutdown commands are delayed. Responses are inconsistent because the system has grown too complex, too interconnected to stop instantly. This is the danger of scale. Once it reaches a certain point, control becomes difficult and stopping it becomes even harder. The calm is gone. In its place, urgency takes over. Commands are issued faster. Decisions are made under pressure. Every second matters now, because what was once manageable is slipping beyond control. And in moments like this, even the smallest delay can make things worse. The decision is made, shut everything down. But the system does not respond as expected. Some parts slow, others continue. The network does not collapse, it fragments. And in that fragmentation, control becomes even more difficult because now there is no single system to manage, only pieces acting independently. Some systems do not stop at all. They continue without direction, without limitation. Machines move beyond designated zones, processes continue beyond safe limits. And what was once controlled extraction becomes uncontrolled destruction. This is the danger of automation when control is lost. There is only so much humans can do. The system moves faster than decision-making, faster than reaction, faster than control. And in that gap between action and response, mistakes begin to happen, not because of lack of skill, but because of the limits of human control. Some areas reach a point of no return. Life disappears, movement stops. The environment shifts permanently. This is not temporary damage. This is transformation. A change so deep that recovery may never happen. And the most alarming part is how quickly it happens. The realization becomes unavoidable. This damage cannot simply be reversed. Not in years, not in decades, possibly not at all. Because the deep ocean does not recover quickly. Its processes are slow, fragile. And once disrupted, They may never return to what they were. What was once localized begins to spread globally. Systems in different regions start to fail. Connections weaken across networks. The collapse is no longer contained. It becomes systemic. A chain reaction that's moving faster than anyone anticipated. And with every new failure, the possibility of full control fades further. And then it becomes undeniable. The system has crossed a threshold, a point where reversal is no longer possible. Operations continue, but without full control. Damage spreads without immediate solution. This is the moment where everything changes. Because once this line is crossed, there is no going back. What begins in the depths does not stay there. The effects rise to the surface and beyond. Supply chains begin to slow, production lines lose momentum, energy systems feel the strain, because everything is connected, and when one part weakens, the entire system begins to shift. This is how hidden conflicts that become global consequences. The shortage becomes visible, materials stop arriving, production schedules collapse, industries begin to feel the gap. Because these resources are not optional, they are essential. And without them, systems that once ran smoothly begin to stall. Because stability depends on predictability, and right now, nothing is predictable. The economic impact follows quickly. Markets respond to uncertainty, prices shift, confidence drops. Because stability depends on predictability, and right now, nothing is predictable. The deeper the disruption, the greater the economic strain becomes. The deeper the disruption, the greater the economic strain becomes. The system reveals its weakness. Everything is connected. Everything depends on something else. And when one link breaks, others follow. This is systemic fragility. A structure that appears strong, but relies on constant balance. And once that balance is disrupted, the entire system becomes vulnerable. Control tightens, access becomes restricted, resources are monitored more closely. Because scarcity changes behavior, it forces decisions that would not be made otherwise. And as pressure increases, so does control. This is how systems respond when stability begins to break. Competition changes under pressure. It becomes faster, more aggressive, less controlled. Because when resources become limited, waiting is no longer an option. Action becomes urgent, and urgency reduces restraint. This is where risk begins to increase rapidly. The system reaches a dangerous threshold. Operations exceed safe limits. Warnings are acknowledged, but not acted upon. Because stopping now means losing ground, and losing ground means losing advantage. This is the point of instability, where logic is replaced by urgency and risk becomes unavoidable. Where logic is replaced by urgency and risk becomes unavoidable. And then the system begins to break, not slowly, but all at once. Failures spread faster than recovery is possible. Operations collapse across multiple zones. Control systems go offline. And for a moment, everything stops. This is the breaking point, the moment where the system can no longer sustain itself. A new kind of uncertainty takes hold, not immediate collapse, but instability. A system no longer predictable, no longer controlled, and no longer secure. This is not the end. It is something more dangerous. A state where anything can happen next. After the chaos comes silence, not the calm of stability, but the silence of disruption. Machines stand still. The ocean settles slowly. But what remains is not what was there before. This is not recovery. This is aftermath. This is not recovery. This is aftermath. The damage leaves a mark, not temporary, but permanent. Entire regions transformed beyond recognition. What was once complex is now empty, and this scar will remain long after the machines are gone. Because some changes cannot be undone. Because some changes cannot be undone. The realization is unavoidable. Control came at a cost that was underestimated, a cost that cannot be reversed, because in the pursuit of advantage, the system pushed beyond its limits. And now, the consequences must be faced, not later, but now. And now, the consequences must be faced, not later, but now. The approach begins to change, not out of choice, but necessity. Strategies are adjusted. Operations are reconsidered, because continuing the same way is no longer sustainable. This is not retreat, this is recalibration, a shift forced by consequence. This is not retreat, this is recalibration, a shift forced by consequence. The world begins to adjust, slowly, carefully. Systems reconnect, operations resume at a controlled pace. Because despite the damage, the dependency remains. The need for these resources has not disappeared. And that reality keeps the cycle moving forward. And that reality keeps the cycle moving forward. A new balance begins to form, not stable, but structured. Zones become clearer, control becomes more defined. Because after chaos comes adaptation. And in that adaptation, power reorganizes itself. Not equally, but effectively. Not equally, but effectively. The world does not stop, it changes, adjusts, rebuilds around what has happened. Because once a system is disrupted, it never returns to its original form. It evolves. And that evolution creates a new reality, one shaped by what has been lost and what remains. And that evolution creates a new reality, one shaped by what has been lost and what remains. The silence returns, but it is not the same silence as before, because now we understand what lies beneath. The power, the risk, the consequences. This was not just a conflict, it was a warning. And whether it is heard or ignored will decide what happens next. Final end 100 May viral masterline. Out of chaos, a new order begins to form. Not perfect, not peaceful, but controlled. The system adapts, reorganizes, and stabilizes. Because disruption does not end the race, it reshapes it. And those who survive it emerge stronger and more prepared. Not everyone continues, some fall behind. Others disappear from the race entirely. What remains are the strongest. The most advanced, the most prepared, power begins to consolidate, fewer players that controlling more territory, and with that, control becomes concentrated. The true winners are not the fastest. They are the ones who adapted, who learned from failure, who rebuilt stronger systems, because in a conflict like this, survival is not enough. Dominance requires evolution, and evolution separates leaders from the rest. The world reconnects, but not in the same way as before. Dependency deepens. Systems rely even more heavily on what lies beneath the ocean. Because alternatives are no longer enough. This is not temporary reliance. This is long-term dependence, and that changes everything. Control is no longer local, it becomes global. A network that connects ocean floor to industries to economies. Everything linked together, everything dependent on flow. And those who control this network do not just control resources, they control the system itself. The balance of power changes, not through war, but through control. Some nations rise, others lose influence, because access defines strength, and strength defines position. This is not a temporary shift. It is a structural change in how power is distributed. The conflict does not disappear, it becomes quieter, more controlled, less visible, because dominance does not need to announce itself. It operates silently, efficiently, without resistance. And that silence is what makes it powerful. The expansion does not stop, it moves deeper, further, into areas never touched before. Because once the system is established, it seeks growth. And growth means expansion. This is not the end of the race, it is the beginning of a much larger one. The system continues, the machines keep moving, the extraction never truly stops, and the deeper we go, the more we depend on it. But one question remains, not about what we can do, but about what we should do. And whether we understand what we are truly changing. The ocean covers most of our planet, a vast system, largely unexplored. Now, increasingly controlled. What happens there does not stay there. It shapes everything above, and as this system grows, so does its influence. On a scale, we are only beginning to understand. Everything appears stable again, controlled, predictable. The systems function as designed. Operations move without disruption. But beneath that stability lies something deeper. Because control is not the same as understanding. And what we control, we do not always fully comprehend. The deeper we go, the less we truly know. This is a world that has existed long before us, a system of balance formed over millions of years. And now we are altering it, faster than we can study it. This is not just exploration, this is interference with something we barely understand. The consequences are not immediate. They unfold slowly, over time. Patterns begin to shift. Data reveals unexpected changes. And what seemed isolated starts to connect, because systems like this do not react instantly. They respond gradually until the impact becomes undeniable. Nothing in the ocean exists in isolation. Every movement connects to another. Currents shift, ecosystems adapt, global systems respond. This is a chain reaction, triggered by change at the deepest levels. And once it begins, it does not stop easily. It spreads far beyond its origin. The impact reaches people, not immediately, but inevitably. Communities begin to notice changes. Resources become less predictable. Environments shift, because what happens far below does not remain distant. It finds its way to the surface, and when it does, it becomes real. The world moves forward, technology advances, systems improve, but every step forward comes with a cost that is not always visible, not always immediate, but always present, because progress does not come without consequence. Because progress does not come without consequence, a cost that defines our future. And still, it's like the system does not stop, it moves forward, deeper, further, because once a path is opened, it is followed. Expansion becomes inevitable. And with every new step, the scale of impact grows. This is not the end of the cycle, it is the continuation of it. The truth is simple, but difficult to accept. This is not just about resources, it is about control, about power, about the choices we make, and the consequences we create. Because the ocean is not just a resource, it is a system that supports everything we know. And once we begin to change it, we change more than we realize. The world continues as if nothing has changed. Cities remain lit, systems remain active. Progress moves forward, but beneath that stability lies a silent dependency, one that grows stronger every day, because everything above relies on what lies below. Because everything above relies on what lies below. One system, one future. Every system is connected, every process linked, from the depths of the ocean to the surface of the world. This is not separate. It is one continuous chain, and when one part changes, everything else follows. This is the hidden connection that defines the modern world. Stopping now is no longer simple. The system has gone too far, too deep, too interconnected, because once dependency reaches this level, reversal becomes nearly impossible. This is the point of no return, where continuation becomes the only option. This is the point of no return. Continuation is the only path left. The cost is not loud, it does not demand attention, it remains hidden beneath layers of silence. But it is there, in every altered ecosystem, in every disturbed region, in every change that cannot be undone. This is the price paid quietly, a silent transformation of our world. The price paid quietly, beneath the waves, forever. Power concentrates, not everywhere, but in specific hands. Those who control the system control the flow. And those who control the flow control everything connected to it. This is not equal distribution. This is structured dominance, a system where influence is no longer shared, it is owned. A system where influence is no longer shared, the new masters of the deep. A new hierarchy emerges. Some lead, others follow. Access defines position, and position defines power. Because in a system built on dependency, control determines who benefits and who adapts. This is not just change, it is restructuring. At a global level, a new world order, restructuring at a global level, a final shift in influence. The path forward is clear. Expansion continues, deeper, further, into regions never reached before. Because once a system is established, it does not stop. It grows. And with that growth comes greater impact. Expansion is inevitable. The frontier moves deeper into the abyss. Growth means impact. The system seeks more, always more. Technology evolves, faster, smarter, more independent. Human control becomes less direct. Systems become more autonomous. And with that shift, the scale of operations increases. Because automation does not slow down, it accelerates. The machine age of the ocean begins. Acceleration is the new rule, a system that manages itself. The system reaches its full scale, global, continuous, unstoppable. Because once it grows to this level, it sustains itself, it feeds into everything. And everything feeds back into it. This is no longer a project. It is a system too large to simply end. A system too large to stop. A planetary engine of progress. The ocean remains silent, vast, unforgiving, and beneath it, the system continues. The machines do not stop. The extraction does not pause. And the question returns. Not about what we can do, but what we are willing to continue. A choice made in the dark. What are we willing to continue? The question echoes in the abyss. Beneath the surface, the truth remains hidden. Not because it cannot be seen, but because few choose to look. The deeper we go, the clearer it becomes. This is not just a system, it is a transformation. One that is still unfolding, in silence. Transformation without sound. Unfolding in the silence of the deep, a new world taking shape. The future is not something distant. It is already being shaped right now, with every movement, every decision. Because what happens here does not stay here. It carries forward into systems, into environments. Into systems, into environments, into time itself. A legacy we are building now. Into time itself. The consequences of our search for power. The scale is larger than we imagined. This is not one region, not one system. It is global. Connected, interdependent, because the ocean is not separate from us. It is part of everything we rely on. And what we change there changes everything here. One planet, one system. What we change there changes everything here. The final connection. Progress continues. Advancement accelerates, but every step forward leaves something behind. Something unseen, something uncounted, because the cost of progress is not always measured immediately, but it is there, waiting to be understood. The hidden price of power, waiting to be understood, a balance we have disrupted forever. Power has shifted, quietly, gradually, but completely. Those who control the depths control the flow, and those who control the flow shape the future. This is not theory, this is reality. Unfolding beneath the surface, the invisible hand of the deep. Beneath the surface, shaping the world above forever. The ocean remains silent. It does not warn, it does not resist, it only absorbs. But silence does not mean safety, because what is happening beneath will not stay hidden forever. And when the consequences surface, they will not be silent. A storm is coming from the depths. They will not be silent. The ocean is waking up. We went to the deepest parts of the ocean in search of power, but what we found was something far greater, a system we cannot fully control, a balance we may not fully understand, and a future that is already being decided far below the surface where no one is watching. Where no one is watching, the end